Okay, here we go. In 3, 2, 1.
Ladies and gentlemen, you are now listening to RPG Maker Cola.
Hi there, and welcome to the RPG Maker Cola podcast. I am your host, Cash, also known as Cashmere Cat, also known as the Puzzle Snob, also known as Cat Who's Scared because he's literally talking with the developers he greatly admires and really wants to impress them. And this is the place for you. It's a chill space where we get together skilled developers from the RPG Maker community to chat cordially and occasionally non-cordially about game development, game design, and probably a whole bunch of unrelated other stuff too. It's casual, it's cool, it's RPG Maker Cola. But enough about bad ideas for podcast slogans. Today we've got some incredible developers with us, and they're very unique, because once you know who they are, which you do because probably in the name of this podcast episode, I can just say, name a more iconic RPG Maker game-making duo, and I'm sure you'll be stumped to think of anybody more awesome. Our developers are the creators of their magnum opus simulation game, RM Online MMO Simulator Edition. Developed in 11 hours, it boasts 300 hours of content, is completely multiplayer, and made in RPG Maker 95. With no bugs, gameplay is set to be 100% side quests, characters that react to every move, including your diet, and an optional 4D mode. I see that joke didn't go down too well, but no, in all seriousness, usually I introduce one developer at a time on this podcast, but it's hard to talk about one individual's achievements without mentioning the other, since they've made almost as many games together as they have when apart. They truly display a fantastic aura of synergy in their games, as if it were created by one, if not for the distinctive qualities of the writer half's witticisms and the masterful character building, and the deep customizable systems and well thought out battles and progression of the gameplay side of things. Their work is entirely distinctive, their presence influential enough to be essential on the evolution of RPG Maker games as a whole. Initiators of much of their created world of RM, the RPG Maker universe, seminal nugget crash course entry In Search of Dragons, the spooky yet lighthearted and quirky Dead Moon Knight, the humorous and boss rush centered gameplay of The Grumpy Knight, In Search of Immortality, Clues and Freedom. One thing they are not in search of is more completed games, because they already have that covered. It's almost too much to say in one go, but here we go. Final Quest, Indie Game Maker Contest 2014 game Sunken Spire, alongside their friends Makio and Racheal. I'm largely ignoring their solo games, but they both participated in decent team games, from the Egypt-inspired Born Under the Rain to the futuristic mecha RPG Ruined Frontier, Silence of Monolith, and Abyssal Shine Nevermount. Perhaps more recently, they worked on the Tim Tam Slam Jam winner and RPGmaker.net featured game Abyssal of the Opera, and one of the developers seems to be currently working with Makio and Racheal on a visual novel called Rainfall Final Messages. This iconic duo is iconic to the max, but let me introduce them one at a time. At least one of them has been using RPG Maker for around 15 years, mostly preferring to focus on the gameplay aspect of their games, and is self-professed to do almost anything for MakerScore. It's Fomar0153.
Who's now thinking, dear lord, it's been 15 years. Hello, I'm Fomar0153.
Yeah, just tell us a little bit about yourself. Who are you, where are you from, and why did you start making games?
I've, like I've been said, apparently 15 years. From England, the United Kingdom, and I sort of got into game making, I got into playing RPGs sort of in secondary school, and then it was actually during a PE lesson where I first heard about RPG Maker while we weren't doing PE and we're just talking, and then I went and found it that night, and been here ever since.
Excellent. The other is a mapper or writer that tries to escape all other aspects of development as much as she can, her words. Her pastimes include consuming unhealthy amounts of manga and begging people to work with her so she doesn't have to event or do gameplay. I don't know, I'm just reading her user profile, don't judge me. Self-professed master of both rants and typos and typoed rants, it's Indra.
Hello. Yeah, I mean, it's accurate still. It doesn't change.
Oh, it's very accurate.
Fuck you. Should I do the whole thing? Yeah, I'm an Spaniard. You will have to get used to me speaking very weirdly, let's be honest. And I don't remember when I got into RMN. I don't remember. Somewhere I got this program. I think it was XP, the first one? I don't remember. I tried to make it like a few square maps, got bored, left. And I think I started to actually get into it way, way later in the was it VX version or something like that? I have shit memory, so yeah.
Right.
I don't really remember with accuracy.
It probably was VX, because I took a break during the VX years, because that was when I was at university and didn't have time. And then I came back just before Ace came out, and you were established then, so you probably were VX more than XP. I don't remember you in XP.
Established is a very big word there. I don't know.
Well, people knew you.
But maybe for other things, like being a fucking bitch, but I don't think that's for game making.
Excellent. We'll talk a little bit more about that later, about how you met and stuff. But firstly, we're going to go into our next segment, which is the Buzz Corner. Here we talk about what RPG Maker games are getting buzz at the moment. If you can think of a game, bring one game that you're interested in. And my game I'm going to buzz out over is Soma Union. Soma Union is a game by Sergeant M, aka Torch 60, being made in the VX Ace engine. Now, the world of Soma may be familiar to you or may not. It's not that fantastic non-RPG 3D horror adventure with the great atmosphere. That's a different Soma. It's a great game too, but this is different. This is a series by Sergeant M, a delightful, colorful, pixelated RPG Maker series from the creator of Brave Hero Yusha, Crescent Prism, and Soma Spirits. It promises to be a 3 to 5 hour RPG that returns to the world of Soma with graphics that just look amazing and a concept that's nutritious to my bones. You can change your character's roles at any time during battle, and it has a fun, jokey atmosphere, and I'm really looking forward to it. So go ahead and check that out. Soma Union, subscribe to the rpgmaker.net page, and if you haven't signed up, do that now. Yeah.
I figured I'd highlight Weird and Unfortunate Things Are Happening by Unity. It was one of the more recent RPG Maker games I played, and I really enjoyed it. It was a really consistent game all the way through, and it had some really good features that I might have to steal in future. For example, there's a really cool intro where you fight several battles and then it asks you to choose the difficulty, which, why has no one thought of that before? Or no game I've played before has thought of it. You know, it tells you, you've been playing on what would be normal. Do you want to make the game a bit harder or a bit easier? I thought it was a really good twist. And I loved how she did the enemies and the skills in the game. Because rather than it being, you having to guess, right, that looks like it'd be weak to fire, all the enemies have an icon telling you what type of enemy they are. Say a beast.
Oh, I remember that part of the game. It was awesome.
Oh, I know, it's great, isn't it? And then skills just tell, instead of a fire skill, enemies that are weak against fire take more damage from it, it just tells you, beasts take more damage. It's not beasts, they're all kind of like more psychedelic types than that, but just for simplicity. Yeah. Really great game. It's about 6 hours long at the moment, but it's not quite finished, and hopefully it will be finished soon.
Yeah, I played maybe like the first hour of the game. It's by Unity, and it's got some great art as well, some tile sets from different people, Joseph Serif, Rodin, and writing from Suze, and also awesome looking portraits from MakioKuta as well. So always love when those are in the game.
Well, talking about Makio, I'm gonna shield the fuck out of Rainfall Final Messages, which is a project by Mickey and Racheal. Just a small correction, you said before I was working with them on that. I'm really not. I did the maps for it, and they're complete more or less a very long time ago when we proposed the project and I wanted to help out, but I'm not actually like active in the development of that.
Right.
I just really like it. The designs are excellent. There's a lot of them. They are very unique. I love the characters. The fact that the kind of game it is and what's going to happen to the characters makes me fucking cry. Because, anyway. Yeah, it's like a visual novel adventure visual novel, I guess, where you have to walk around. It's not just text. And so far, I think it was like 1 or 2 hours long, the demo so far.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's shaping up to look very cool. And I can't wait. And that's it, pretty much.
If anyone hasn't played Racheal or MakioKuta's games, such as April Was a Fool, Dia Dole, or Castle Chasers, or Halloween Bash or Flop, I'd highly recommend it.
And they're heretics. We don't want them in this house. Get out!
And even I'm going to talk about later a collaboration with Sunken Spire with Indra and Fomar here. That was created for the Indie Game Maker contest. I encourage you to check those games out because Racheal and Makio just have an excellent sense of story. April Was a Fool is one of my favorite visual novels. Full stop. It's fantastic.
It was so good.
Yeah,
it's
so
unfair.
We have the Kent Kenson Wars.
It honestly makes me. Oh God, we fight over who's bando is Ken Kenson. And like, no, it's mine. No, it's mine.
Mackie drew me the picture. I was the winner.
Shut up.
But also the other games they did, because I was one of the judges for the Halloween contest the year they won it with Halloween Bash.
Yeah.
Which was great. Great game. Check out. Very Wizard of Ozzy at times. Really good.
Both games, Bash and Flop, are good games. I think I reviewed and created a video for one of them. Really good quality all round. That's one of the things you can notice with their games, just polish in every area, I think. Our next segment is We Have Been Playing Games. Maybe? Have you been playing games? If not, that's all cool. If so, we're just going to talk about a game we've currently been playing.
All day, every day.
That's good.
Yeah, but we're both pretty big gamers, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll start with Celeste. Oh my goodness. Celeste is one of the best 2D platformer games I have ever played. It's sleek in design, beautiful pixel art, smooth animation, but the gameplay is balanced. Deaths feel like you did them. No, that sounds wrong, but like you're the one who's in control. It's all fair, it's non-linear-ish. It's a joy to experience, just rules being stacked on top of each other one by one, and just experience it with such a well-formed arc that teases the brain with each new frustrating yet exceptionally delightful level. I can't explain it much more than that. It gives me the same feeling as when I played Super Meat Boy for the first time, if anybody's played that, but with better polish and a story that moves me. This story, with no spoilers, is about anxiety and overcoming it with the help of others, and about a whole bunch of other stuff as well. It's about internal struggle. I identified it with greatly, and I applaud it for the way it conveys its message without interrupting the gameplay too much. I think it's truly extraordinary. Yeah, I love Celeste.
I've currently been playing, I'm not that far into it yet, Breath of Fire 2. I'm playing the fan translation. Liberty had been streaming it a lot lately, and I watched a few of her streams. I was like, I'm going to play that game, because I've never played any of the Breath of Fires. And so far it seems fun. I'm enjoying it. Other games I've been playing lately, as always, the MMOs, World of Warcraft, Guild Wars 2, and I've recently finished Dragon Quest 6, which was fun. Although I have to say I was a little disappointed Terry wasn't in it more, because he was the whole reason I chose to play that one. Because he was the main character in the Dragon Warrior Monsters or Dragon Quest Monsters game. Right. So I wanted to play the game he was originally from, but, wasn't really in it that much.
I've been lately playing Code Vein, which is like an new with Dark Souls, and I love it. It's so cheesy and edgy. And before that I played Fire Emblem Three Houses, which is fucking great. And playing Final Fantasy IV, going to start, not 14.
Oops, I forgot to list that one. Yeah, we've been playing Final Fantasy 14 together. Who knows, we might actually get to the latest expansion soon.
Probably not anytime soon, let's be fair.
Hey, we got to Stormblood at last. Heaven's Ward only lasted like a month when we actually played properly. Only, yes. Yeah, it took us 3 years to get out of Realm Reborn.
Yeah, because we didn't want to play.
And we will move on to our segment, Topics to Discuss, because this is a podcast and it's serious. So I'm just going to ask our guests here just a few questions about just general topics and their history and stuff. Starting with, how did you come about making RPG Maker games? Like, where did you start? How did you discover RPG making? And perhaps, like, as a bonus question, how did you find each other and why do you work together?
I'll go first because I don't remember most of it, so I won't be saying much. I don't remember, and I have fish memory. I even remember Fomar at first.
No, I'll tell the story in a minute.
Yes. I honestly don't know. I probably found one of the old, engines and started fucking around with it. Didn't go very far, and then at some point later on, I believe I played Castle. I think I saw that, and I believe that introduced me again to games. I am honestly not sure. I think I found a game somewhere and went back to the forum or some stuff like that. I'm not very clear on it, honestly, but it was something like that.
Right, okay, I'll tell my story. I sort of had a few years break in the middle, but it was 15 years ago, like you told me earlier, and I hadn't realised it'd been that long. I think it was back in about 2004, give or take a year. Might have been 2003. And it was at school, and someone who I was friends with mentioned RPG Maker. We were talking about Final Fantasy games or something while we were meant to be playing basketball. And then that evening I had the internet obviously at that point or broadband anyway, to be able to download stuff. Before that, it used to be that 28k modem. And then I got RPG Maker and loved it. I did actually finish my first game, which I'm so glad now I never ever put on the internet.
I was going to say,
it was only about half an hour long.
Put it up.
Honestly,
Upload it now.
I don't even know if I have a copy of it. I'm so glad I don't. It was awful. I didn't finish anything ever again for years. Because it was it was just after RPG Maker XP had come out. And I originally I preferred 2K, and then I sort of went over to XP after playing Flamordis Avant-Garde, because it just showed me how much you could do with coding, which I wasn't a programmer at that point. So I then just got into trying to program, and most of the rest of my RPG Maker early days was spent making small scripts for RPG Maker XP. And then I went to university just around the time RPG Maker VX came out, and I just ignored RPG Maker for a few years.
Probably a good time to ignore a maker, to be honest.
Yeah, it was. And then after I finished with university and stuff, VX Ace was coming out, because I didn't really like VX, because the graphics were just, ugh. And while I wasn't so keen, that they kept the graphics, the scripting improvements in VX Ace and just the excitement around a new maker was huge. So I got back into it and then joined, me and Indra met on IRC. She doesn't remember this though at all.
Nope.
Which IRC?
Yeah. It was. It must have been RPG Maker VX Ace. Indra put out a call for testers for In Search of Dragons, and I was one of her beta testers. I'm there in the credits. I gave her lots of very helpful feedback and all sorts. She thanked me very kindly, etc., and said, "Oh, those are good points. Thank you, thank you." And then a few months or such, there was that mystery contest, and which is where we made In Search of Clues, and I suggested we work together and I do the gameplay, and she was like, yes, deal. And then we were trying to come up with a project, and I said, well, why don't we do a prequel to In Search of Dragons? And she's like, you've played it? I was like, correct, you didn't remember me at all.
Of course, Indra has the memory of an elephant, just remembers every single detail.
I have very, very bad memory.
Yeah, and that was the start of our partnership. We made In Search of Clues only about 20-30 minutes, depending on if you want to see both, because there's a branching bit, not that it matters for the actual story, in the middle. And then we did the Halloween contest together again, because we quite enjoyed working together, and then we carried on working together for quite a few years.
Until today. Excellent.
Until today, where we've definitely split up over her forgetting who I was multiple times.
Yeah, I remember when I said, Indra, would you like to guess with Fomar? And she was like, who? Who's that? And then I was like, the person you made 10 games with. Oh, yes.
Sounds legit.
Now, this might seem like a little bit of a broad question, but would probably, I guess, just drill down into it. What is your specific method for creating a game, and how do you go about doing it? Particularly that you are, create quite a few games as a duo. Say you start from the beginning, there's a contest, or there's something that goes on. What usually happens? What inspires you, and then what do you do from there?
There's two methods.
Yeah, I was
is,
going to say there were two.
one is, hey, there's a contest. Do you want to participate? Yeah. The other is, hey, Fomar or Indra, do you want to do this idea? Nah.
And then the answer is always no. And then sometimes we make a
Yeah,
new
we
idea.
have
And we're
very
like,
different-
I want a game make. And then we end up making something else entirely different.
Yeah, we have very different tasks. It's a miracle we work well together, let's be honest.
It is. Because we've got further apart as time's gone on.
Yep.
When it comes to like ideas for games, how does it usually work between you? Like, is there specific games where it's like, that was my idea, or that was my idea and the other one jumped on? Or is it usually a process of you working together on the idea?
We usually brainstorm together and then try and put the ideas together and then trim them a bit.
Yeah, we have veto power for each other pretty much. So I will say, I want this, and he will say, nah. And he says, I want that, and I will say, nah. Okay, point in the middle, maybe.
And sometimes we say yes.
Yeah, probably 90% no and 10% yes, which makes for a good game.
It's probably why we finish games.
Yeah, usually we steer clear of each other's areas unless it's something we don't really like. I do the writing on maps, and Fomar doesn't usually mind that, and he does the gameplay, and he's got boss role over that.
Yeah, we probably both check the other's worst impulses, though. When I'm like, Indra, can we have another few characters?
And Indra's like, are you fucking around? We haven't even finished the ones we have.
Sounds like Marvel a little bit, you know. It's like, can you put Spider-Man in there? Oh, okay, sure, you know.
Well, yeah, Indra's like, oh, I want to use all these other characters. Like, we haven't finished the main story yet. No. So yeah, we keep each other in check.
Sometimes.
You probably have a good idea of each other's preferences and what each other likes in game design. There are probably certain things that you agree on when it comes to game design and certain that you don't. Is there quite a lot of agreement that goes on, or are there certain things that you disagree on?
We have very different tastes. Like, we kind of meet in the middle, but there are many, many, many ideas each of us have that just never get further than a few sentences or expositing, because the other one will say, sorry, I'm not feeling it, it's not my thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I guess is good, because we already have a lot of unfinished stuff.
Most of our stuff's finished. Thankfully, my name's not on In Search of Dragons, so I can say we've just got the one.
The released stuff is finished. How about all the unreleased shit?
None of it doesn't
Nobody
count
knows.
as
It
part
doesn't
of a demo.
Nobody knows. It doesn't exist. It's not official.
It doesn't count as unfinished if we haven't released a demo.
And in a world where you've got so many team game jams and teams coming together to make games that either they sometimes do successfully, but also quite often they break apart due to differences or just things that happen. What advice would you have for a team that's worked so well together? What advice would you have for working well as a team when making a game?
I don't know. Whenever we do those contests where we work with other people and not each other,
it doesn't go well.
we both send each other messages like, Indra, I miss you. Why aren't you doing this with me? And vice versa.
We're probably talking about like Born Under the Rain and Ruin Frontier, which are both amazing games.
They're not the examples. These are usually what don't end up seeing the light of day. They usually crash and burn.
All right.
I don't know.
The only people I've really successfully worked with in a way that I'm really happy about of the thing, other than people just giving me a hand with gameplay, like making Racheal and Maki, but we still we haven't done much with them. I think that one of the reasons we really get along so well is because Fomar doesn't give a shit about story or maps. And I don't give a shit about gameplay. So only until the fucking last build of the game. Shut up. Until the last build of the game. Shut up. Until the last build of the game, neither has looked at the other stuff. I have to badger him endlessly to fucking play the eventing demos and stuff like, Fomar, play this. Fomar, what do you think? Praise this map. Praise it, damn it. And he will show me his screenshots of gameplay and I'll be like, Yeah, it's nice.
And he's probably just like, it's good, it's fine.
That's such a lie. At the very start, we do agree story and stuff, and I like to argue with you loads over the story. And then occasionally you misinterpret or don't stick the stuff in that we agreed. But most of the time we do what we say we're doing, and I put in your gameplay ideas if they're reasonable. But we have had games where we've literally finished our bits, and a day before the contest deadline, we're like, right, you ready to merge the projects? But sometimes it worked out well.
You just said, like, a couple of days before the deadline, you're just like, okay, we've got the story game and the gameplay game. All we need to do is put them together.
Hey, the Grumpy Knight won.
And then what happens is that Indra accidentally breaks up the puzzle.
What are your favourite RPG Maker game or games, and maybe non-RPG Maker game or games? What are you influenced by when it comes to, say, the engine, or even just outside of the engine?
I mean, when I first sort of got into RPG Maker, A Blurred Line was, one of the most popular, and I still love it to this day. Please finish A Line's End. Kinetic Cipher, which I still love completely and utterly. Still probably one of my best favourite games.
Are you remaking that?
I am, yeah.
Oh.
I asked Brick Road earlier this year if I could remake it, and it's going okay. I recently finished, I hadn't touched it for several months, and then right at the end of September I did a load of more of the maps. I've got the first dungeon fully mapped. I just have to finish eventing it. But the gameplay is pretty much there. I just have to finish eventing it, and then I could release it up until, the end of the first dungeon.
Oh, exciting.
I know. Regrettably, Release the Dead came out 2 days later. I was like, I could lie. No one would know. I was like, no, I did. I worked on it 2 days ago.
They just have to look at your blog to know.
It's not. I didn't blog that update.
Oh, right.
Like I said, I mentioned Mortis Avant-Garde, which I still love, which was the one that convinced me to become a programmer, so that was good.
Oh, nice.
And then at the time, Master of the Wind was a big influence. I really loved that. Then after the break, when I sort of came back, and it sort of became weird because RPG Maker games tended to be finished all of a sudden. Trying to think, quite liked The God of Crawling Eyes. That was a really fun game.
Yes.
I'm forgetting so many. What else was really... I mean, the most recent really good game I played, other than obviously the one I mentioned earlier in the Weird Unfortunate Things Are Happening, Dirge of Donningoff. Oh, I didn't say that right. Dirge of Donningoff. That was a good game. Really enjoying that.
I mean, aside from games from Maki and Racheal, which I know I'm being very biased, but their style just meshes with my tastes very well. Aside from their stuff, which I love, I think if Japanese games count, then Ip is probably my favorite RM game. I think that's pretty much it. I'm sure I've liked other games, but honestly my memory is so bad, I don't remember. As favorite, Ip definitely was like the one that was like, oh Jesus, this is so good. I love it.
What about Ib appeals to you?
I don't know. I think it's a mix of the presentation and the development. There's no combat. It's just I'm very much a coward. I don't play horror games at all, so I got slightly spooked by that game. Not too much. It's a very easy game to go down, but I really loved it. I don't remember why it even got to it, but I just got it and played it like one afternoon, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
And that was it, and I was like, okay, this is probably my favorite game. I've played other games I've liked, but I'm not sure I will call any of them my favorites because I am kind of bitchy about polish, and RPG Maker games tend not to be all that polished. Which is fair. Our games are not that polished either, so yeah.
Some are. The ones we re-release later. I don't know, the re-release of the
Not really. Functional and with no rough edges maybe, but not polished.
Abyssal of the Opera one, so it was between that and another game because it was considered so polished. So we can polish games sometimes. Also, I thought of some more. I rechecked my reviews, and I didn't mention any of Ocean's games because I quite liked a load of his: Luna City, Remy and Alana, Azure Waves. They were all good as well. I like his games.
So, in general, what in your mind constitutes good game design? What makes a game good in your opinion? Like, how would you personally design things like battle systems or pacing or story? What makes for a good, like an RPG maker where you look at it and you say, this is good?
Not what we did with the Grumpy Knight with a 30-minute intro. We learned from that. We never did it again.
I feel personally attacked now. Yeah, I have a very bad tendency to make long intros. What can you say?
Well, after that, we started making sure there was a battle within the first 5 minutes of every game of ours, I think.
Yeah.
I think generally, the difference between a good game and a great game is usually the polish and consistency. If you go into a room and, it's a bit like when you have to click on everything to find stuff. Some games then sometimes have sparkles, but you also then click somewhere and find another item just on a bookshelf. But there was no hint, but sometimes there is. It's that them being completely consistent all the way through and well polished, and then that tends to be what makes the games, go from being good to great. As for things like battle systems, I tend to like trying different things. I mean, I was one of the, I think De Wolfman once said I didn't realize it. Apparently I was the first non-Japanese coder to make a real-time battle system. Yeah, I would never make one these days. Back in the XP times. Yeah.
I don't really know strictly speaking about RM games, I don't have enough insights to talk about games in general, but as a hobby for RPGs, I'd say having a strong core, because playing a lot of very half-assed games during the IGMC marathons and stuff, there's so much aimless shit that has no point. I was like, please give me a fucking break.
I mean, I
think that's why they watch your videos, just to watch you rage at some
I know.
aimless game.
Yeah, it's like some games have polish, but they don't have a point.
Yeah.
Polish.
It's just like a lot of dressing and texture.
I'm doing the quotas, polish, between fingers. But yeah, they put you to sleep, or there's no point, or the dialogue has no spice. Personally, I really like character dialogue. Well done, obviously. And I don't like difficulty too much, so having difficulty options and letting me just cruise by on casual style is good for me too. But yeah, I'm not too fussed about bugs or stuff. For example, I've played some very, very basic games that I enjoyed. Like, I remember one of the first games I played was like Chain of Retribution, I think it was, and which had very fun parts, and some parts, since it was a chain game, some parts weren't as good. But I remember it being like a very solid, entertaining thing. Like, not great, obviously. It was very rough around the edges, depending on who was at the wheel at that moment.
Yeah.
But for what it was, I thought it was surprisingly entertaining. Same with, what was its name? Vagabond, I think. It was a game by Sergio.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
It was such a simple thing, but it was so entertaining and not well done as in it was great, but the mapping was really basic. The dialogue wasn't really here comes the cat again. The dialogue was not that good or anything, but it was just so pleasing to just explore. Yeah. Every area had like a very simple little side quest for you to guide you through the area.
Yeah.
There was a lot wrong with it. I remember I gave a lot of criticism to, but I had so much fun because it was so simple. You have a little body and you have your skills and classes. The little body has his skills and classes and evolves, and that was it. And there was a lot around that strong core to help with that. And so many games just don't have a point.
Yeah, I was actually a tester on Vagabond as well, and it was it's such a really weird, unique game. I'm reading your review now. You said that basically the gameplay was really good, but the story and characters could have used some work, and it was just overall enjoyable kind of thing, exploration game. Yeah, I agree as well with those sentiments. what inspires you to keep working, I guess? Like, how do you keep on going even when circumstances stop you? And what about game development in particular is something that appeals to you?
Is this where we say we just stop and abandon the game?
You're not wrong. We've abandoned a lot of projects. A lot. Like, a lot.
To be honest, if we work on a game for more than 2 weeks, usually it gets released at some point. Except for S1E5.
I'm pretty sure I'm worse than Fomar at this, but yeah, I have a lot of half-assed solo projects that never went too far besides maps or a few cutscenes.
Yeah. I have several games that never go further than the battle system, because once you finish the fun part, it's all the work left, which is a bit where we work so well together, because the bits we find fun are what the other person would hate the most. I hate map making so much.
Oh, yeah. I think I'm more towards the Fomar side than the Indra side. I'm very much gameplay focused, but maps aren't my forte. I love story though, so...
Yeah, I like writing the story, but not necessarily the dialogue.
Right. I think I'm the other way, yeah.
I've come to see I'm actually fucking terrible at writing. I've come to learn that I'm actually pretty bad at writing story. After reading so many by Maki, I'm like, this is bullshit. I don't want to write this anymore. But yeah, passable is the best I can do now.
I wouldn't agree. I think, I don't know too much about the story, but like at the very least, your dialogue is extremely witty and funny. I find it incredibly, like, the character's endearing. So you guys do a really awesome job on that front.
I think the most we can... I don't think we actually put... What's the difference? Character dynamics versus plot? We never really have that much of a plot. I think we work better that way, because I can't write plot for shit.
I'm usually the person who's there going, you know that Necromancer side quest? Wouldn't it be a good twist at the end if he does revive Celine? And everyone was like, ooh, yeah. To everyone who's played Sunken Spire and did that side quest.
Okay, so now we'll move on to our next section where I ask each of you about specific projects, and usually I interview two different developers on two separate projects, but since you've done so much together, I thought we might format this in a different kind of way, where I go through just really quickly all of the games that I know that you've released, at least according to RPGmaker.net, starting from the beginning to the end in chronological order, and then we can just make little comments here and there, and then kind of end with Abyssal of the Opera, which is a game that you released recently. So,
okay.
Yeah. To my knowledge, the first Indra game, and you might have had some on some sites that it's been deleted, but the first Indra game was the Summoner in VX, RPG Maker VX, with Helalbian, Meti, and Sin. Does that ring a bell?
What the fuck? Oh god, what game was that?
Hey, I know Scinaya
Was it a Japanese game?
15th of June 2011.
Was it a Japanese game?
I'm not sure. It's your
Was it a
first
Japanese
video on your YouTube channel. It's like 8 years ago.
It was a video, yeah. It was like a kind of dating sim style Japanese game, but it never really got that much off the ground. It was that early phase.
Right.
But was that before everything else? I don't remember.
Was there anything earlier that you had completed? Or?
Not completed. I think The Witch of Lorben, that was just a cutscene, was the first thing I actually did and released and everything, and the next was like the demo for Dragons, and then was In Search of Clues, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I have here, you completed the demo for Lorelei Queen on 20th of January.
Oh my fucking god, I didn't remember that. Yeah.
An RPG in VX. And then on 1st of February, you completed the end of The Witch of Lorven. And then on the 15th of March 2012, with Deck Killer as a co-developer, you initiated RM the RM Universe, with a tutorial game included.
Yeah, but that wasn't really a game, it was just a shared universe.
Yeah, I've got here, ARM is a unified setting for various developers to work on their projects, sharing the same background. The world of the RM universe, or RMU, it reminds me of the MCU, is ARM, and everyone can put their games inside it. You share nations, cities, history, can share lore, ideas, cameos with others, and only complete games are accepted as canon. You provided a place for developers to upload maps to the project and use these donated maps for their own projects. And Scinaya created the world map. Did I say that name correctly?
Scinaya.
Scinaya. Rules were don't break the setting, no ending of the world or killing off important characters defined by others without their permission, or stealing or destroying countries without their permission. They just come back and it's like their country's destroyed, flattened. The setting fostered a hub for world map, donated maps, tutorial game, and a created setting. And I see that messages kind of stopped in 2016, but games such as like Abyssal of the Opera continue to be set in ARM.
Yeah, pretty much ARM. I didn't make it with Scinaya. It's just that the post in RMN was made later. It was started in the old forums.
Right.
Most of the who initiated it are gone. I don't even remember their names. But
yeah, I mean, RM games included completed games from you, Indra and Fomar, M. Logan.
Oh no, the creators didn't even complete a single game. Don't worry. Like I was the only one of the creators that actually put games out. I think maybe the Killer. I don't remember if the Killer was among the ones that were like at the starting point, but.
Oh, with like completed games by M. Logan, Velix, Sylvester, Maki and Racheal work with you guys on one. Here you go on.
Yeah, what happened is that almost all of the games that are in our ARM now are ours. A few people have put games in, which is cool, but it never really got strongly off the ground, I suppose, because like all recruitment pages, you actually have to do work. And finishing games is hard.
Exactly.
Adding the condition of shared universe or interesting people in that, it's never really gone too well. I have long since stopped trying to push for it because it clearly wasn't really happening. If anyone wants to participate, they're more than welcome to it, but yeah, it didn't really take off.
Yeah, it was like last mostly active in 2016, but I just saw one post in 2019 where someone was like, I want to make a country, and you were like, okay, sure, just finish the game.
And I was like, yeah, if you have a game, get in touch with me, because what happened is that I will get, at the start, obviously, I will get 30 messages reserving land, and I was like, okay.
Yeah.
And 3 years later, there was no news, and I was like, I'm not gonna bother. It's like, if you have a game, I will put it in, don't worry.
How do you change my setting without actually having something to show for it? You know?
Yeah, it just didn't really work. I understand that it didn't. It's a very shared thing. People usually want to just dominate their own creations.
Yeah.
And actually finishing games is hard.
Totally. Fomar, you had something to say about that?
I was just going to chime in with, because I mean, the idea of it is very cool, you know. I think we did it well. It's a shame that all the games largely that did it were from us, where, for example, you know, characters come from the countries of other games. Like when the Grumpy Knight starts, you know, she's trained in Ulster, which was set up in Dead Moon Night. You know, the one that was our most ambitious, which is probably why it wasn't done in terms of story, was In Search of Freedom, because that game was reacting to the events of the other games we made. So you had refugees arriving who were fleeing from the change in Ulster at the end of Dead Moon Night. And then they were going to follow the changes in attitude and social dynamics in the time, as obviously Ulster didn't turn out to be a terrifyingly new, horrible country. It actually turned out to be all right. And watching how things changed over time. Probably why that game never got finished yet.
Yeah, no, there was also that game Valera by Deck Killer, which was actually looked kind of decent. It was a demo. I think that was probably the one that I noticed, and I was like,
it was pretty good, but it never really, it got cancelled, I believe.
Yeah. Deck Killer's a good developer. I would have liked to see maybe a full version of that, because I didn't even know it was set in ARM. I was like, okay, this game, I already knew it looked good. But yeah. Would you like to see more shared RPG Maker settings like this, or do you think it's a failed concept?
I think as an open thing, it's kind of difficult. As a group of friends, or maybe a studio, or a couple studios doing cameos, I think it's perfectly fine. But in the end, I'm not sure to what degree it's really viable or really worth the hassle. I don't know. I'm kind of disillusioned with the whole concept after Arum, honestly. So,
we've also reached the point where the negatives of the MCU are starting to affect our games as well. Where, there's baggage and things where, we want to include a little bit because it'll be a fun reference too, but then people may not have played all 10 of our Arum games.
Yeah, pretty much that's what always happens.
Yeah.
And it's not like Marvel where you're forced to watch every movie. People just probably come across your game and they're just like, oh, this is a fun game, not knowing that Arum is a massive thing.
It's a bit like when you have the items come from the other countries, like the healing items. Say the best elixir's always from one part of the world, which I think I only remember to do in 2 or 3 of the games, because we kept changing our mind if we were having elixirs or potions.
We move on to In Search of Dragons, an RPG for VX8 that was created on 1st of April 2012.
I was a beta tester.
Ah, yes. With Reverie Raven as well.
Yeah, that's Matty, by another name.
It was probably the game where I was the most enthusiastic. I remember I got a lot done.
I know, it's huge, and I've seen the other stuff but never got to see the demo stage, or the release stage.
Yes, there's like 3/4 or a bit more of the game's mapping done, or almost done for the maps. But the story really needs so much work now. Like, it's very old. It's old and messy.
And we kept updating it to changes that happened in Arum. So the script's on like the 4th iteration.
We tried to revamp the gameplay multiple times.
Retconning stuff,
Well, this is it, because when Ulster got established, suddenly we had to change who some of the characters were.
It's like all of a sudden, wait, who's this character? What's their name?
Yeah, we put in a lot of cameos. I think we should just reduce the number and finish it someday. Yeah. Blame the Indie Game Maker contest. Blame, what's it called? Abyssal Shine. We were doing Revive the Dead on In Search of Dragons a couple of years ago. And it was going well.
Something always happens.
Yeah, it was Indie Game Maker contest and we made Abyssal Shine instead of finishing Dragons. We were like, no, we haven't got an idea. We're going to ignore the Indie Game Maker contest. We're going to ignore it. 2 days later, Fomar, I can't ignore it any longer. Indra, I'm so glad you said that. I can't either.
That's awesome. And if you do finish Dragons, it'll probably be the longest game you've been in development, correct?
It would be, yeah.
I don't know if I will say that. I don't really do long time development at all. I usually just do bursts.
Are you going to go back and finish Summoner ever?
No, because that game is shit, but there are plenty games I want to finish.
There you go then. If we finish Dragons, it'll have that title.
No finishing of Lorelei Queen either, I'm guessing.
Nah, Lorelei is dead. Don't worry.
No,
there are games I do want to get...
a tactical RPG.
There are games I do want to get back to, a lot of them, too many of them, but those are not them. Most of them don't really... I don't do game pages before I have like a demo or anything, so most of them don't really have anything outside besides the screenshots and stuff.
And perhaps one of your most famous and incredible projects on the 5th of June 2012, Van Helsing Badaptation with Racheal and Scinaya.
I remember it was like Nessie... I don't remember who it was, but they had to like map a few maps. And Nessie was going to take a nap and come back, and she didn't wake up, and I was like, what the fuck do I do?
And then Dead Moon Night on the 31st of October, 2012.
We've missed In Search of Clues. That was definitely before Dead Moon Night.
Oh, let me see. Maybe I've just... Because the latest demo for In Search of Clues was in 10th of August, 2013. But I think maybe...
It's okay. Nobody played that game.
Yeah, it's fine. Actually, we do know some people played it, because I can see they've got the achievements in it.
Yeah. Yeah, sorry, I'm just going by the latest, the download uploaded, so I'm not really quite sure any previous downloads that were uploaded. I just judging by that date. I think you must have updated In Search of Clues and the next year, the year after that. 2000.
Yeah, we had achievements.
We did. I made an online achievement script,
Oh, wow, yeah.
which let you, play the games. You unlocked achievements, a bit like Xbox Live did. You had like an account, and then your achievement points would stack up. And we were really keen and really excited, and re-released 3 whole games before it became work and not fun. We did actually finish Dead Moon Knight, but we've never re-released it because neither of us can be bothered to make 20 icons. It's completely done. I'm fully working. We just haven't done the icons. Yeah.
Then you've got the 17th of February with Scinaya, the Grumpy Knight.
Yeah.
In VX Ace.
That one was actually VX Ace Lite originally, because it was the one with all the restrictions in.
Yes, I remember.
Because I spent like 3 days doing damage pop-ups, evented damage pop-ups. They look so awful, but I was like, I want damage pop-ups. Yeah, it was around the time I made. It must have been some sort of, because I did a lot of things using the damage formula box that people didn't realize you could do with it. Which is when I wrote my famous tutorial that has been translated into multiple languages about how to do cool skills using just that box. I think the Grumpy Knight was also because all the games we'd done so far were contests. Because Clues came second in the mystery contest, then Dead Moon Knight came third. We're like, oh, we're getting worse, and then the Grumpy Knight went and won, which was really nice. Because the goal was just basically to use as much as possible within Light. The goal was to make the biggest game we possibly could. We had 10 playable characters originally. All the enemy slots. We had the maximum number of bosses. Didn't choose the maximum number of maps that were allowed as well.
Just pushing it to the limit. Incredible.
Yeah.
I remember the maps were pretty big as well. Yeah.
Well, they're as big as they're allowed to be. Yeah.
You got In Search of Immortality on 5th of May 2013 with Evil Eagles and Scinaya.
Yeah, that was a cool. Yep. So I was just gonna. Yeah, that was a cool one.
I think that was like the first properly polished game we had. Like, I think the most polished before that was maybe like Dead Moon Knight, but it was still kind of wonky in some places.
I mean, Dead Moon Knight was really unbalanced originally, because if you did the best strategies, the game was so easy. And if you didn't work out the best strategies, the game was too difficult. I think we released it a few times for the gameplay balance, but I don't want to change the way it was, because it does have that early game weirdness when we sort of got into game making again properly, but it is what it is, and I don't want to change what it is years later.
Yeah, I feel like Immortality was the first game where we kind of. When I remember it fondly, like being proud of it, like I like the other games, but it wasn't like too much.
I think Immortality is where we found our formula, which worked for us, where it was kind of like 3 areas. Each character has cool things they can do, and just one party, and then a bit of story, mostly character based. Yeah, because I mean the actual storyline of In Search of Immortality is there was a bad alchemist, go get him. When Indra was playtesting it, because it was another one of their games where we merged on the last couple of days.
Oh, motherfucker.
I'd misplaced a 0, and she'd been fighting.
Yeah, I was fighting that shit for 30 minutes, and I was like, Fomar, are you sure this is right? Why is it not dying? Is it invincible?
Oh, whoops, it has 64,000 health, not 6,400. Whoops.
And then on 10th of August 2013, you completed the demo. Well, actually, sorry. In Search of Clues. That was an earlier one.
That was
just the patch.
Re-release. And then we also re-released the Grumpy Knight with an extra character and actual scripted event pop-ups. I also made the fight everyone hated cap out at 5 turns. There's a treasure chest boss who you win by giving the item you stole from the treasure chest back. But loads of people used all their items and would spend, 20 minutes trying to kill this chest because they wanted the Ring of Immortality. So I capped that at 5 turns, and then he just one-shots you if you don't dare give him back.
And then 31st of October 2013, Indra solo project with Marimo, completed Subject, a visual novel in Ace.
Oh, God.
Yeah, I think Subject is incredible, though. It's one of my favorite games by both of you. Well, by Indra and just either of you. Would you make any other horror games in this style?
My problem is that I have no other ideas. I really like that, let's call it a gimmick, so not to spoil it. And all my ideas around horror revolve around that. So I've multiple times I thought if I should do something similar, but I honestly don't have many other horror-like ideas.
I mean,
so I'm always getting stuck.
I mean, Abyssal of the opera has some horror elements to it as well, so...
Abyssal of the opera?
Like, I don't know, possessed pianos and eyes in the curtain and stuff like that.
I'll chime in with, because I was a Judge of the Year. Subject was there. It was when Halloween Bash won, as we said earlier. You know, Subject was definitely one of the better games that year. I couldn't believe it when me, Kaz, and Starskipper had to judge something like 30-something games. Oh, that took a long time.
That game was made in 3 days. I didn't sleep. I don't know what the fuck beat me in the ass to fucking write that game. It was so strange. So weird. It was a very weird experience. It was great.
There were a lot of good games that came out of that one, though.
Yeah.
God of Crawling Eyes being one of them, and there was Rust and Blood by Snow Owl, I believe, as well.
I'm still haunted by that crab.
Yeah, and then I think Fomar played my game, one of my earliest games, Daga, but then I had to kind of revamp. Well, I'd never revamped it, but gave some very useful information about that one.
Is it still on our Megs? If I can look at my old review for it, because I reviewed nearly every game that year.
I had to hide the game because I was so ashamed, but it
right.
is there.
Was it the mansion one? Where the mansion was
It was the mansion one, yeah.
Yeah, I do remember it.
one of my early games, but it had
Wasn't
a lot of...
Wasn't that Maren's game, though?
It was a little kid in a mansion, and the mansion would like
like one of the rooms, the furniture
shape-shift.
rotated every step you took.
It wasn't the vampire one then.
No, not the vampire one.
Okay. I was getting it confused. Another mansion.
You might be able to find it on my YouTube channel. I think I recorded me playing most of them.
Yes, you did, yeah.
He's gonna out you on your past shames like no fucking troll.
I'll have to relook it up later.
I've got much better since then, but it's on the 15th of November 2013, Indra's first Let's Play of a game called Xandir 2 appeared.
Oh god, I don't know.
From there you played Magi Chronicles, Lufia 2, The First Rebellion, Halloween Bash. Now, when you Let's Played Halloween Bash for the first time, did you know of Racheal and Maki before?
I think I did.
I didn't. I had no idea who they were.
I believe I did. I'm not sure. Oh god.
I will ask later, though.
Oh god, I don't remember. I told you I have shit memory.
I'll ask later about specific people. Just
I think I did, but I haven't played that game.
Okay. You also played World of Shidal, Violent Whispers, Vorlorn, Punch Bears, etc. And you got 9 parts through an Ocarina of Time playthrough before you started making videos playing through very many entries of the Indie Game Maker Contest 2014.
Oh, 88, my fucking lord.
88 games to be exact, just in that one contest alone.
And almost none of them were good. I played all the shit games. It was nonsense.
The longest playthrough being a 2-hour, 50-minute playthrough for The Heart Pumps Clay by Housekeeping, who has now made the wonderful Jimmy and the Pulsating Mass. And the shortest one was around 4 minutes, a game called Rosen, that purportedly started with massively over-leveled enemies in a random position, and it seemed like the starting position was set in the wrong place. Just a starting position in the middle of a map full of enemies that were beyond your strength level. In light of this, what are the most common newbie mistakes you've found in games, and how can people overcome them?
Oh god, there's so many.
Making interiors too big.
Just going through your game. I think one of the things people don't do is just having someone else play your game.
Yeah.
Because so many games have such shit just from the get-go that's super basic to fix. Like, how did you not see this? Why? How? And I don't know. People I feel like some people just push shit in. Like, this is cool, right? And this now, and no battles, to be nice, so to speak, many times when I stream, it's like, okay, when the game is a disaster, okay, instead, how about you come up with a core idea, and then work around that?
Yeah, yeah.
Like many people, we don't really, let me be clear, we don't really set out to like make a core gameplay or gameplay loop or anything. I'm fucking dumb. I don't know about Fomar, but I'm fucking dumb. I don't know how to do that. But from playing games, you more or less know how that works, but some people clearly don't. They probably know how to see it in other games, but they don't know how to put it in the game. Or no one plays it and they just put it out, and it's just an unmitigated fucking disaster. For the IGMC especially, there are so many, so terrible games of people who will not admit that it's shit. And it was like, how? How can you not see this?
I don't know. I usually just get an idea and run with it, and then it usually works or doesn't.
Yeah. Just test it. Jesus Christ, just test it. Just have a friend test it.
Yeah.
So many games will be improved by testing, yeah.
Well, if we're up to Indie Game Maker Contest, Sunken Spire.
And if possible, have someone who isn't your friend test it too.
Yeah, that that too.
I don't know, I've told you things are rubbish before.
Oh yeah, if it's a friend, then it's someone who's obvious. I mean, who's
yeah, but there are many people who will not say that to their friends.
Who's honest as well. Yeah, find someone who will honestly, if they are your friend, and they'll honestly rip you apart if it's a bad game. Just be like, I don't like this game.
Like, I get many people have to start somewhere, but I've seen starts that are decent or starts that are kid good, and then there's stars that are clearly people who didn't give a shit.
Yeah.
They didn't give a shit, or they had no idea what they were doing.
You know,
Could be
you
either.
can tell when a first game is someone's baby and they love it, and you can tell when someone's made a first game and they just want attention for it and praise, and yeah, it's rubbish.
14th of January 2014, you developed a demo for In Search of Freedom with Marimo, I believe.
Yeah, she did
And
the
then-
art. Yeah.
Yeah, Marimo did the faces. In Search of Freedom, I think is probably Fomar's favorite game. He doesn't stop pestering about finishing
It's only
it.
like a week's worth of work.
Oh,
For
but
me,
it's a week.
anyway.
Yeah, for you. You don't have to event it all.
Well,
But yeah, I don't remember it a lot, but I remember enjoying it. It just got overtaking the other stuff.
it was when we felt like we were on fire. I think we've missed Sunken Spire, but probably because it had a re-release. Yeah, In Search of Freedom was the one where it was the holiday season, and we just did 2 weeks on a game and just released a demo, and then another event came up and stopped us from finishing it. But if you remember Indra, it was the one with Shannon, Ethan, the sea monster Olga, and I liked it because I had that boss that could screw up your battle commands and your skills and just delete them. Oh, it was great. My favourite boss.
Nice.
It was
that moment when you have so many games you forget which one it is.
that one was heavily influenced by Bravely Default, which hadn't been out long at that point, because the battle
Right.
system was sort of a twist on it.
And then I've got Sunken Spire on the 30th of August 2014, but was it for the previous year?
Oh, maybe it was
For
2014.
the IGMC.
Was that 2014 or 2013? Maybe I've got the games in the wrong order.
Maybe.
It was the second IGMC, I think.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
second or the third?
Was it? I think it was the first one we did it for.
The first? Are you sure?
I thought it
At least
was.
Could be.
Sunken Spire,
Could
yeah,
be.
it was 2014.
Yeah, then it was.
My bad
Sunken
then.
Spire is a very bittersweet memory, honestly.
It's all my fault.
Such a mess. Yeah, not really. Like glitches are the bane of our fucking existence in contests and shit. And Sunken Spire had like a glitch that only happened if you did a very specific thing.
It happened.
Ugh.
You had two, I think it was 2 rooms where, because basically they instantly disqualified a game if it crashed, and about in the last 6 hours of game dev, someone pointed out that the bestiary had a couple of default entries in before you fought the enemies. I was like, oh yeah, I forgot about them, and just deleted them, but never obviously tested the bestiary after that. And if
Oh,
there's
no.
no entries, it crashes because it tries to draw an entry when there isn't one. It didn't have a return if there is, basically if nil for the enemy. And we got disqualified from that one bug. We made a 10-hour RPG in a month, the 4 of us, and that one bug was the only bug in the whole game. It was otherwise it was so good. Oh, yeah.
I mean, let's be honest, it was fairly unbalanced towards the end.
Oh, it was. I mean, we threw it got merged about 3 days before the deadline, but it was playable start to finish. 10 hours of content. All the cool custom systems worked until we messed with the bestiary at the last minute.
Oh, the judges will judge an hour? Let me make a 10-hour game.
We got carried away.
It must have been something fun. Was this your first game co-developed with Makio and Racheal, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and did developing games with them strengthen your bond with them or decimate it?
No, we loved working with
I think the work was excellent, but the crash of it getting disqualified was pretty hard. So we all got kind of bitter over the game being disqualified, and even there was some talk about revamping the game and releasing it again, but we were just too fucking sour on it.
Yeah,
I remember that quite vividly. It was disappointing because a lot of people were like, "This is going to be the game. This might even win the contest," and then it was quite
none of them checked the
unfortunate.
bestiary before 2 maps in the game. We fought your first enemy.
Yeah.
I know. It's still sad to this day. But it was so good when we were
pretty
actually
much.
working on it. Maki would just produce the next piece of art and we'd be like, oh my god, that is so awesome looking. Or Racheal would be like, Fomar, I love the battle system, but I think the turn order display could be snazzier, or not my words, not her. And I came back home and suddenly it was all animated and it was great. It was just such a lovely.
Yeah, and the eventing cutscenes and everything, and it was so good.
It was just, we worked so well together, and everything we did motivated the others on the team. It was just really healthy, and it was great, wasn't it?
On the 17th of February 2014, you completed Final Quest: The Disciples' Journey with Hide.
Yes.
That was maybe like 2 or 3 days, wasn't it?
Yeah, pretty much. I was like, I've been playing a little bit of Xenoblade.
I don't remember what it was about. I remember it was Ulrika and
yeah, we did RTP. Or
Ralph?
Yeah.
Oh, it was for the RM Venture?
Yeah.
Was it? Yeah.
Possibly.
And that was... And also, I just also say maybe paired with that was Fomar's demo for Gem Hunter's Xenogenius Predicament.
Yeah.
18th of February 14.
I'll explain that one in a minute. Let's do Final Quest first. Yeah.
Okay.
We wanted to work with Hooray, and I'd been playing Xenoblade Chronicles, which had the skill tree thing where you chose one to work on at a time. And so I sort of made that in that game. It's really short, but it has a fun little twist, and the gameplay was quite solid. It was quite a polished game. Anything to add, Indra?
Yeah, precisely because it was so short, I think. We never really make short games. They're all over 2 hours.
It's hard to make gameplay systems that work for short games and still have chance to develop. But that was just...
Yeah, the thing is that we always say, okay, let's make a short game. Okay, what's an idea for a short game?
Oh, I've got this great idea for this great expansive equipment system that you modify.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's the trouble.
We all have very big ideas. Short ideas are in short supply.
But we also,
None.
part of the issue is these days, most of the characters are very unique in Air, so you can't just, or we feel like you can't just dump 4 of them in a party at the start of the game now. So you have to slowly drip them in, and then we both feel a bit like you can't have a character join you in the final dungeon. So that bloats the game out a little bit.
I actually reviewed that game as well, so I quite enjoyed it.
Yeah. Shall I do Gem Hunters, shall I, quickly?
Gem Hunters, yeah. Go ahead with Gem Hunters.
This was it was kind of a serious attempt to game, but obviously I was also doing Final Quest at the same time. It was, because I was always sad I never released a game in RPG Maker XP, even though I used it for so many years. So I did the thing where you ported RPG Maker VX Ace's Ruby stuff into XP, so that it runs quicker and can do, better quality of code. And basically it was 2 gameplay ideas. Do you remember .hack had those randomized worlds? My game had equations to make the maps, so they all look bland and boring and awfully procedurally generated. And the other idea was customizing skills in battle. But yeah, it's terrible. It doesn't deserve its 3.5 stars. But not to say I was sad when the Maker score went down when someone gave it a lower review. I like it. It's a good ideas, but terrible game.
And you did some scripting for World Remade on 1st of July that was released?
Oh, I did the battle system, yeah.
1st of December, Indra completed Star's Favor in VXS as well.
Oh god, yeah. I made that it was a challenge to myself. I think it was the first time I ever touched the database, for skills and shit. I think I did everything by myself, I believe.
I think I have logs that say I was nagged.
No one liked it. It was like everyone was like, "This character does shit. Indra, what are you doing?"
There was a lot of Fomar. How do I make a skill that does this?
Yeah, that happens every time I start doing stuff for myself. It's like, Fomar, how do I do this? Fomar, can you make this? Fomar, how do I?
It's probably a good learning experience of that side of things for you, just making a solo project once again.
Oh, yeah, it was. I mean, I guess it was empowering to know that I could, but it was a very shoddy game, let's be fair.
Then you both participated in the McBacon Jam of 2015. Indra was with Crazy Lean, Housekeeping, and Lock Z, completed Born Under the Rain in VXS. And Fomar completed Ruin Frontier with Aether's, G-House, and Ocean.
Oh, I think that was mostly them. I didn't have a lot of time, so I just asked them what they'd like. A few scripting things they wanted. So I did the Battle HUD and I think I did a couple of other bits, but it was pretty much mostly them.
And for Born Under the Rain?
I did the mapping. I didn't really do anything else. We had differences in how we wanted to bring it, and I just did the mapping, and they did the rest.
You've got a lot of strong opinions in that team, I think.
Yes, sadly, yes. It's not really my place to say. But yeah, that's why I said, aside from Fomar and Racheal, and none of us have really had much luck working strongly with other teams. I'm sure it can be done. We usually work with someone else, maybe Raven or Matty, but she does our testing and she helps with events and stuff, but it definitely has to be specific people with specific characters.
Well, yeah,
not everyone works.
In 2015, 6th of August, you completed Rootbound with Siegfried McBacon.
Yeah, he gave me a hand with the gameplay with that. Much like Fomar, he didn't really touch anything else. He was just helping me with that.
Okay.
And I don't think I even tested for shit for the gameplay. I was like, I can't. I did everything else. No one really liked Rootbound, which made me kind of sad because it really put. It's true. There was too much dialogue.
It looked nice.
But
I haven't played it, but it looked nice. And then on 15th of September, you completed demo for Silence of Monolith with Makio and Siegfried as well.
Yeah, actually, Makio, Siegfried, Fomar was...
I was on that one, yeah.
Yeah, you were on that one as well.
That project, it just...
Was Racheal too? I don't remember. Anyway, it didn't really work out.
No.
Yeah.
It was one of those games where I think we all compromised so much, none of us liked the end product.
Yeah.
Fair enough. 27th of December, Indra was working with MakioKuta and Racheal on iObject in MV.
Yep. I just did the maps for them. I didn't do anything else.
Nice. And then it might have been a little bit of a skip in time when you both completed with Reverie Raven Abyssal Shine Never Melt, an RPG and MV. Yeah, you've created a lot of games in the period of time, 2012, 2015. Did some priorities change throughout the years before this?
I think we just drifted apart for a long while.
We did, yeah. We still played games together and things. We just, game making, we'd really, like we said, we sort of, at the point where we like to make games, had really got quite far apart then. We've drifted a bit back together a bit more now, haven't we? But we just also, I was busy at work, so I had to do a course that year. It took up, a whole evening a week plus extra work to go with it, and because I wasn't very active, because you didn't mention any game I did that year, I don't think.
Yeah, and as for the project itself, is it quite a big project, or Abyssal Shine Never Melt, or is it a smaller one?
I had a bunch of unfinished projects in that period, I think, but Never Melt was, I believe, like, hey, do you actually want to participate in the IGMC again? Yeah, come on,
I already told this story. Your memory's terrible. We were working on In Search of Dragons. Do you remember? And then Never Melt.
Well, replace Never Melt with In Search of Dragons.
Yeah, we agreed to do In Search of Dragons, and then Indie Game Cons came out. We brainstormed ideas, and we failed to come up with something. We're like, let's just carry on with Dragons. But then, like I said, 2 days later, we were like, Indra came to him and was like, Fomar, I want to do Indie Game Maker Cons. I was like, Indra, I'm so glad you said that. And then we managed to find an idea which sort of worked.
Yeah.
Yeah, I rather like the game. We had to leave aside a bunch of stuff. It's the same thing that always happens.
Yeah, because we've only got the bad ending in the game. We didn't manage to finish the better endings because there was more content in them.
Yeah.
But the sad part was it was all pretty much done. We decided to stop where we'd got to in terms of story and just make sure it was finished for the contest, which is why there's only the one ending. But then I ended up having to redo one of the dungeons because once it was encrypted, for some reason encrypting it really lagged one of the dungeons and I had to completely redo it, which was it was so close to the deadline when we handed in. But we came to 11th?
And then in a space of a week, 3rd of June and 10th of June, you completed Harvest and Hunt 14 and ARM Online MMO Simulator Edition.
That was a good week. They're both solo ones of mine. Harvest and Hunt was kind of because in Aram we had made a timeline and there was a really big gap from say Dead Moon Night to all the other games which kind of followed on from each other. So I tried to plug the gap a little. It was another boss rush, sort of in the vein of the Grumpy Knight, but I hadn't made a solo game. This is the first time we're talking about me making a solo game, and it needs another lick of paint or a bit of polish and revisiting, but the core of it's there, the heart of the game's there. It just is a case of, it's a bit like almost going back to being not so good at game making again, like when you have to talk about early game mistakes and things, but I was just so pressed for time making it. But I did manage to finish it, which I was quite happy with. Then the MMO simulator was for RMN's 11th birthday, which meant I had 11 hours to make a game. I sort of wanted to make a little browser-based one. It was very cool, I thought. I liked it a lot. You basically, it's a fake MMORPG, but you just basically click. Because Indra had talked about making a clicker game at some points, but we never did one together, did we? So I made my own. Yeah.
Yeah, that was quite a fun game. I liked that one. It was funny, and I liked the humor in it.
Did you complete the second year? Because loads of people didn't realise there was a second year content. The only second year content is once you've got past 2 years, the game crashes, and a note comes up saying Quintona forgot to pay the bills.
Yes, yeah. I can't remember if I waited or if I cheated and looked at the files and and saw the log. But I did see that. And then you made 2 swap in the middle games, one with Colocanth and one with Piano TM, called The Path We Travelled and Shackled Seas.
Yeah.
Those were just brief ones there. And then you completed Liberty and Anarchy, an RPG in VXA's 24th of October 18. It was like the present to Liberty, I think.
Yeah, I work on the sequel now. I asked her what she wanted for her birthday, and she was like, I want to see a game with one person party member, and and she wanted spears as her weapon. Yeah, the review for it is very fair. I could have some good ideas, but it was done in a couple of days because her birthday was 24th or something, and sure, I only realised a few days before. But I decided to make a load of Australian jokes being upside down, so you'll get to go on the roof again and things, and the enemies are upside down if you're on the roof. And the stance system isn't very balanced, but it kind of worked. It was only a fun thing. Liberty liked it, so that's the main thing.
That's what matters, yeah. And Golden Fish, you completed the demo for that on 14th of January, 2019.
You say demo, the end of the game's there, and the beginning of the game's there. It's the middle that I cut. There is an ending.
Right.
It was alright. My idea was to do a load of little islands, each having their own little contained dungeon or story bit. But, besides finishing the starting island, I then just set you off to find free treasures and just ran out of time. It was too ambitious for the time I had.
And then finally, on 31st of March 2019, you completed Abyssal of the Opera, a puzzle RPG, and VXAs.
Well, it's labelled as a puzzle RPG, but all the puzzles got cut.
Of the 3 dungeons that we have played and were mapped and puzzled, only one survived.
I know, it's such a shame. The sewers were completely done, but about 3 or 4 days before the end, we decided what we were going to do, because Indra was very much Well, you were going to quit, weren't you? You were like, this isn't going to get done, we should stop.
Yeah, there were some problems.
And then I was like, no, we can finish it. All we have to do is polish it. So we decided to move the final boss up to the first dungeon, so there's only one boss the whole game. Which was a shame, because the sewers were done, but they'd required more story content to explain, and it seemed weird to put the final boss at the end of the sewers, because the third dungeon was going to be a manor, which are all in the game files. The sewers were pretty cool, which was where the puzzle elements were. So the first dungeon didn't really have puzzles, it was the opera house. So we moved all the story to just the one place that was completely done, which also led to some, because it was equipment skills and they were sort of tiered, but they sort of meant that they got squished in a bit. So very few people will have got all the skills by the time they fight the final boss, which made him, some people found him very hard and had to grind for it, whereas other people were willing to use items that remove status effects and found him not too bad at all. Don't know how many times Indra told me to nerf that final boss.
Because it was hard.
You should have used items. What's the point of giving you 50 cures if you're not going to use them?
But my hoard! I want to hoard all my items.
So for those who don't know, it's a game made for the Tim Tam Slam Jam, developed by Indra, Fomar, and Froj, who actually came on the podcast just this week. It was a jam about Tim Tams and how you slam them, but in all seriousness, it was a jam hosted earlier this year, an event that was basically about teaming up with other people to make games in a certain time frame. The winner gets a packet of Tim Tams sent to their door by RPGmaker.net's admin herself, Liberty.
They were delicious.
They must have cost plentiful Australian dollars, which is good to hear that Australia is spending their money on Tim Tams so their younger brother New Zealand can eventually usurp their throne. But it also won the Tim Tam Slam Jam and got featured on RMN, which is a feat in and of itself. And I remember witnessing photographic evidence on the Discord that Fomar enjoyed these Tim Tams with a nice English breakfast tea. Is that correct?
Did I? It wasn't breakfast tea. I don't think we had breakfast tea.
Oh, some type of tea.
I don't drink hot drinks usually. I probably just plain tea, whatever my mum drinks. So I would have stolen the tea bag from. Yeah, it was nice that it got featured. We weren't really expecting it. So we've had was that our third featured game? Cause,
I don't remember.
Because the Grumpy Knight was our first featured game.
No one's surprised about that.
The Grumpy Knight got featured.
We've had a few.
Yeah, and I think Sunken Spire got featured, didn't it? After we...
Dead Moon Knight, I'm not sure. Grumpy Knight, yes. Sunken Spire, yes.
Yeah, but I think that's our third one. Yeah.
In Search of Immortality might have been.
No, it wasn't. That got more exposure on RMW than RMN. RMN, it was kind of just there.
I mean, the game's completely standalone. There's features of other games in the universe. You may notice a few references, but it's set in an opera house located in Rumen, the same country as Sunken Spire. And during a performance at the opera house, a rift to the abyss opens up, Abomination steals the lead singer, and naturally, there's a problem that can't be ignored. A hero is called to come to the rescue. So...
I mean, one of the main ideas for the game was the bait and switch with the main character.
Spoilers.
Pianos.
And is it called Rumen because of the letters that make up RPGmaker.net? RMN, Rumen. This is a very important question.
Indra named that country.
I don't think so. I think Rumen means something in some language I don't remember. But no, I don't think it was specifically tailored around the Arum game. The Arum name, sorry.
Yeah, and then there's also just that final Indra working with Maki and Racheal on Rainfall, which we said, Indra's just been working on the maps.
That was actually a long time ago. It's just that the new demo is now, but the first demo, the first web page at least, they had a build that wasn't polished enough to publish, which is where I did all my work a long time ago. It was like 1 or 2 years ago, I don't remember.
Yeah, since we've spent quite a bit of time on that, we'll just quickly go through our main questions. Our first question comes from Piano TM. what is your favorite project you've completed and why? And what project disappointed you the most and why?
I'm so tempted to say Sun Conspire for both. Ignoring that, I do love In Search of Freedom, but obviously it's not complete. Completed.
I feel like Sun Conspire is it for me for both, yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to stick with that.
Maybe Rootbound as disappointment because it didn't really get much of a reception.
Yeah. That's a brilliant answer, I think, because it's not usually the same project, but for you guys it's probably the same. Both.
I'm still sorry.
Yeah. I mean, it's not that. It's not disappointment that the game was bad. It
wasn't bad. It was
with
great.
The end of the Witch of Lorben, which was just a cutscene, it started my curse because it also had a bug that disqualified me, and it was like, motherfucker, again with this.
What are the major or recurring themes you try to communicate through your games?
This is a very, very deep question, and we don't make games as art, I don't think. We make games as a fun hobby that we enjoy. We usually go with friendship and stuff.
I mean, I guess as recurring themes. Yeah. Don't trust appearances, I guess. Twisting expectations, maybe.
That one's, it's a bit like Dead Moon.
I'm very shallow. I don't think about it. I have this depth of a puzzle. I don't know.
We did sometimes try and have themes. I mean, like with Dead Moon Knight, and then with In Search of Freedom, when Indra said about appearances, all the monsters were the good guys in the end. I
mean, I think that's just my taste at this point. It's not even like a theme.
Trying to make an important message about monsters. Yeah, Kep asks, how are you so productive, and what productivity tips do you have for the rest of us?
I don't think we are that productive. I think it's relative. I know we've put out 10 shared games and a few solo ones, but we don't think we're that productive. It's a bit like when you talk about crunch when game making. We're very good at crunching for 2 weeks and then being burnt out for 2 months. But we get a game out with that 2 weeks.
Yeah. So you get quite a lot done in a short time.
Yeah, we've got worse, haven't we? We're not as good at crunching as we used to. I think that's possibly age.
I think it's also because we have way higher standards and we don't let it go as easily.
Dead Moon Knight would not get released this day, would it, by us? We'd be like, oh dear lord, that needs more work. These characters don't even have skill systems.
Darken asks, if you could wish for any RPG Maker demo that's cancelled or abandoned to be completed, what would it be?
I'd say Freedom, but honestly Dragons is more work, so that one.
I think he means other games, Fomar.
Oh right, sorry.
Could be either.
Okay, if he means other people's games, I'd love to see the ending to A Blurred Line. I do know one spoiler. I couldn't work out what a sprite was in a cutscene once. So I went in the game to actually see what in the world that thing was meant to be. It was a radio, and it had a spoiler comment in from Lysander saying, so if you're looking this hard for spoilers, here you go. And it told you who Emily's mother was.
I don't really play that many games that aren't finished if I'm playing for actually the game. Usually I'm either streaming something or playing some shit-ass game that I'm not gonna finish. But that are cancelled, don't really know any. I've never really played the classics. I'm usually busy playing bad games for entertainment. So I don't know, honestly.
I do think part of the trouble is a lot of the classic RPG Maker games, like loads of old games, haven't aged that well.
Yeah, Lord Blue Rouge asks, what are you guys doing when you're not making RPG Maker games?
At work, playing video game, not at the same time. Sleeping, eating.
Baking? How about you?
Oh, I do like to bake. Yeah.
Oh.
You don't know what it is. You're minding your own business, suddenly pictures of cake. And I'm like, motherfucker, stop that.
Oh, that was for we did a Macmillan morning. Was it last week? Yeah, last week. So I was just like, I don't think these have turned out so well, and show her my strawberry shortcakes. And then, so I did these as well. So I did some Swiss meringues and an upside down pineapple cake as well.
Games. I used to watch more anime now, not so much. I usually just keep up with my manga. And nowadays I'm learning how to knit to keep my hands busy while I watch YouTube, which I watch a lot of. Mostly like game reviewers and shit like that.
Horrorbox asks, as someone trying to balance our life and creating their game, do you think that taking a huge break can impede your progress?
The way we work with our crunches, as soon as we've put a game down, that is usually it, unless we really want to go revamp it or something. Having said that, when I've been working on Kinetic Cypher, because I keep just working that for usually a couple of week bursts, and then something comes up, I do that. I have been going back to it, so I don't know.
I don't think it's so much the break as the new ideas sneaking in.
Yeah, there's always, once you've taken a break, a new project comes into your head, and it's new and exciting, whereas going back to something where you know how much work is left isn't so appealing.
Alaskan Emily asks, how do you overcome procrastination? But I think we already talked about productivity earlier.
We did it.
We don't.
We don't really. I mean, I do think procrastination, when we've got a deadline, you can't really procrastinate as well.
Yeah.
You know, you have to be very good at procrastination to procrastinate when you've only got 2 hours left to go. So I don't know. I always find having time constraints, and obviously as you get older, there's more pressures on your time. So I've got less time to game make, but I seem to get more done. So I don't know if that partially answers it.
Marind asks, what are your favorite non-RPG Maker games? And why, maybe?
So I think the ones that were probably most influential was sort of the GameCube era, as well as obviously the early games I played. They were the ones that I probably could sort of... It was when you sort of multiplayer games were sort of coming really much bigger, where I could actually go out and see friends and play them together, rather than multiplayer being the rare experience. Phantasy Star Online was one of my biggest influences, although it's never come through into any of my games because it's too hard to emulate in RPG Maker. Also, Time Splitters 2 was great. Super Smash Brothers.
He tries. Believe me, he tries.
He'd love...
Indra, do you want to make an online game? We will have to do this and this and this and this. I learn 3D modeling. I'm like, no.
Well, you do want to one
No,
day, don't you? One
don't
day.
do this to me. No.
Yeah. Oh, but an MMORPG would be so much fun to make, Indra.
Oh my fucking lord, no.
All right, then, go on. You give us some of your favourites.
It's hard to say. I don't have... Since I have such a bad memory, I have trouble remembering what I enjoyed. But I think as an experience, probably Journey was one of my favorite as an experience, and Shadow of the Colossus pretty much.
Oh yeah,
As for game.
Oh, we also love games like Final Fantasy series was a big influence on us both.
Recently, I would say Persona 5 was one I enjoyed a lot.
Oh yeah.
Fire Emblem, Three Houses too.
Oh, the only trouble I had with Persona 5 is I got on PS3 and it's such a pain to set the PS3 up, so I never finished it. I love Persona 3 and 4 though.
And perhaps the most important question of the night by Kai Layla, what is your favourite animal and what is your favourite pet animal?
Animal.
I quite like tapirs, they're cute. As for pet animals, I've had a cat and a dog and fish. I always found the dog was a lot more work, whereas the cat was so much more self-sufficient and just there when I wanted it. Well, no, she'd come and jump on me and lie on me, but that was nice. I'm going to go with cat.
I'm a real cat person. Yeah, I'm a cat person as well.
I've loved animals since I was very young, so I don't know which one will be my favorite. I honestly don't know. And as for pets, I like dogs, but I've never had one. I have a cat now, and I love her. So yeah, cat.
Well, we've come to the end of our this podcast episode. Thanks so much, Indra and Fomar, for being so open and answering all of our questions.
Oh, you're welcome.
Yeah, we have no shame whatsoever.
It's been fun.
Would you like to advertise any of your games or any projects that you're working on right now?
Well, because we name our files so creatively and sophisticatedly so that we have a clear organisation structure, the current game we're working on's Google Doc is called Large Cast. And the premise was we liked the sprites so much we'd have 10 playable characters and 3 dungeons, which seems to be our limit for managing to get a game done.
Don't fucking lie, it's 4.
Is it? Oh yeah, but the file dungeon's tiny. It hardly counts. It doesn't even have a puzzle element. Yeah, we've got the first dungeon done. The intro's done. I need to do the character systems, of which there's 10 to do, which might have been silly of me. But I took a small break from it to work on Revive the Dead, and I'm reviving a Google Doc from something like 2012 or something. It was kind of if you watch Yu-Gi-Oh, they go into a virtual world at some point, and like there's a shop selling cards, and they summon them there. It was kind of sort of a bit on like that vein. It's like a card RPG, but I don't know how in the world it's going to turn out.
And where can they follow you? Where can people follow you in terms of your progress? Is there a Twitter, or is there something that they can...
Well, I think I've tweeted twice.
Yeah, probably Twitter or YouTube.
RMN is probably the best place for me.
Right.
Or my blog, which I occasionally use, but I only promote games when I'm proud of them. So you'll notice a few of the ones mentioned, like Harvest and Hunt, didn't get put on my blog for some reason.
I don't really use my blog anymore. If I post, I do it on the forums, on RMN or RMW.
I just wanted somewhere I could ramble thoughts out loud. Yeah.
I had a WordPress, but it's so dead.
Well, thank you so much, and thank you for listening as well, all the listeners, and we'll see you on another episode of RPG Maker Cola podcast. See you later. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.